I first want to say thank you to Donna and everyone at the United Way for all you do for the community, everyone that has their hands in the United Way. Um, you've been pivotal to my family's growth, coming from an Alice family. So I hope today with my short time, I just not only want to inspire, everyone on the panel, but also to our leaders in the community. To have empathy for people that work under you and people in our community that are less fortunate. Um, Growing up very early, I was born into poverty. My mother was a single mom, raised me and my knucklehead brother um, long ago, and we moved from Omaha, Nebraska. Escaping a domestic situation. Um, and we came here to Washington. Thankful for my grandfather, who was actually a member of the board here, who's my Jackie Robinson, who's my Martin Luther King, who was my hero. I owe a great deal of my growth to him. But just my journey early on was one of a kid just constantly in a traumatic state, a trauma state, just trying to just that uphill climb of not necessarily knowing who you are or knowing where you're coming from, but just knowing I always wanted more, and I didn't want to continue the cycle that I was kind of born into. And early on in my life, I had a child really young at 16, and that played a huge part of my growth aspect. Soon after I had her, I dropped out of high school because there was just so many different dynamics of my life that I just could not handle. I was a great athlete, but my daughter at that point became, the most important piece to me. Um, I mean, and at 16, child support kind of start kicking in, and just that constant uphill battle, not having an education and that sort of thing. It took a toll on my journey. So it's been a constant uphill battle for me. It was a constant uphill battle, just trying to better my situation and not revert back to what's easy, giving up, and uh, you know being a product of my environment, to say the least. Um, so as my life continued to grow a little bit more, and I sought out help and different resources within the community. Um, I decided to go back to school to get my GED, high school diploma, and my associate's degree at TCC. But during my journey through school, um, I still had to make ends meet, right? So I worked with community um, community resources, the Boys and Girls Club, and those things, but still trying to make ends meet was darn near impossible at the time. We were expecting our my wife and I were expecting our first child, so now I had another mouth to feed, and it was just a constant uphill battle of the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck and just trying to figure it all out. Watching my wife work three jobs at a time to make ends meet was just not the route for me. So eventually, as my my academics grew, I graduated, and which was a big thing for me. I grew up with a lot of smart people, but not a lot of them continued their education and were lifelong learners. And that's one thing I pride myself in, is continue to be a lifelong learner. So during my journey at Evergreen State College, and while I was employed at SOAR Academy, again, my grandfather introduced me to Tim Jumper, who was, I'm not sure what his role was at the Sound Outreach, but um, he introduced me to something I've never heard of or even thought about, and it's just simple financial literacy. I can say that now, but that was something that wasn't taught in my house. I see my mom just, get by with what she could do, working several jobs, not paying certain bills just to make sure food was on the table, lights were on, and that sort of thing. But that relationship that my grandfather connected me with Tim just dramatically changed my life. It just gave me a different a different thought process, and knowing I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur and want more for my family, and not continue to live, under that poverty threshold, and giving my all and really receiving nothing if we're putting a dollar amount on it. So during my journey, I decided to once I really got an understanding of my finances, and it wasn't the debt, it was just not learning how to properly allocate finances and take care of those small things. But working with Tim at Sound Outreach, and the level of professionalism that was there, and just it's hard to walk in a room like that, especially as a Black man, and saying I need help. Like, that was the hardest thing to do, but he held my hand, and I look at Tim like a big brother. But he empowered me to just continue on my journey. And you know, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 months we're working with Tim. I had a measly credit score of probably 400, maybe 450, somewhere really in the low fours. 2, 3 months just of small advice working with them. I was able to get my credit score to close to 700, which with that alone allowed me to get my first car that I've never had before, which at the time was a 97 Ford F-150. I've always been a truck guy. I'm from the Midwest, so it was for me it was big, because it was the first thing I could really say was mine. And with that pickup truck, like Donna was sharing earlier, just still trying to make ends meet working at the school. I would work in rideshare. I worked with a company that was similar to Uber, which is basically a delivery service but for pickup trucks. That model was just brilliant to me, because it was something that I definitely knew was necessary in the community, and something that could just move mountains. It also provided me extra income to put away, and pay off debt, and eventually move my family from a 2-bedroom, 900 square foot apartment into a nicer home and that sort of thing. But it also gave me the ability to invest back in myself and start my own business, which was iHaul in 2018. My wife and I took that same 97 F-150 and created a business model around that delivery I shared with you. And that's, 4 years later, that is something we still do, but not knowing how to properly allocate funds and, just be resilient. Who knows where I could be. So that pickup truck has turned into a life changer for my family. I was able to remove my wife from, her chaotic job, and, not just, living check to check, and, just trying to figure out what we're going to, what bills are we going to pay off. We're going to be able to pay bills, just because, we had the financial stability to just keep moving forward and just, build on our young marriage as young parents and work on our mental health. So without Tim, United Way, the community has always been in my heart since I've been in Tacoma. And now that I have the ability to, just carry myself in a healthier manner, has given me the ability to, be there for my community, and look out for children who've come up from similar circumstances as myself. And that's what we're all about. Outside of the business, for me, it's about serving my people, and serving the community. I could care less about the business. And for me, it's the relationships that move me, right? If I can inspire one, that's what I'm here for. So again, I just want to thank United Way. Really want to give a shout out to Tim. I didn't see him on here, and the Strong Center for Strong Families, for just continuing to do the work that they do, and for all of us to give someone a hand up. Look out for your hardest working employees, because I promise you, the ones that are at the bottom are probably the ones that are going to give you the most, because they want to get out of their circumstances. So I can say I'm a proud graduate of Alice, right? If that's what you want to consider it. And it's been a pleasure, knowing that my family doesn't have to suffer. We no longer have to suffer. So now it's just about building on our mental health and bettering our community. So thank you. And yeah, hope everyone has a great night.